In section 2 of the Yellow Wallpaper, it's 2 weeks later. The narrator is sitting by the window writing in her journal because John is away for the day. She describes how depressed she feels and how difficult it is for her to do even small tasks like getting dressed and entertaining. On top of this, she's anxious about being with her newborn child. She recalls an interaction between herself and John when she asked to take a room downstairs rather than upstairs with the terrible wallpaper. He refuses to give in to her wishes. So she turns her attention to the view from the windows in her room. Out of one, she can see a garden. Out of another, she can see a bay and a wharf. She thinks that sometimes she can see people walking on the paths, but John believes this is just her imagination, and he advises her to check the tendency to indulge it. He says that once she's well, she can have visitors, but not before. Her thoughts about being unwell lead her back to the yellow wallpaper, something she blames for her continued feelings of depression. She describes the pattern's impertinence and how it looks like a series of unblinking eyes at the ends of broken necks. She's noticed a second pattern in the paper as well, a strange, provoking, formless kind of figure that seems to skulk about behind that silly and conspicuous front design. She also observes that the wallpaper is torn and the floor and walls are scratched. At this point, John's sister Jenny, who's come to help take care of the house, approaches, and the narrator ends her journal entry. Here in section 2, the journal reveals an important part of the narrator's situation. She recently had a child, and another woman, Mary, has been hired to take care of the baby, something the narrator feels is a fortunate thing, as the baby makes her nervous. Readers may make the connection between this information and a common symptom of postpartum depression, heightened anxiety. After John dismisses her worries about the room, she begins to describe her external surroundings. This mirrors what happens in the first journal entry, when John tells her not to think about her condition, so she describes the grounds of the estate. Because John doesn't believe in the seriousness of her condition, the narrator has to suppress this part of her that's legitimately worried about her illness. In turning her internal gaze outward, she projects her inward turmoil onto her environment. As the story goes on, this tendency will become more pronounced and ultimately destructive. She also notes that she's very imaginative and likes to make up stories. John thinks these tendencies are adding to her problem, but she sees them as a healthy outlet, explaining, "I think sometimes that if I were only well enough to write a little, it would relieve the press of ideas and rest me."